Yeah, it's very hot. Oh yes, it's a hot morning. Welcome back to the show, and now I want us to take a look at what Kenyans have been saying. When we told them that these gentlemen and lady are coming to studio, they had a few things to say online. Let's just take a look at what those tweets are in as far as their perception on Parliament. This is Tush 2017. The current Parliament is the most corrupt in Kenya's history. Its focus has since changed to protecting selfish interests. You therefore don't expect it to promote transparency.
All right, use the hashtag Daybreak. Kenny, you say puppets of the executive. Just look at how they passed the security and VAT bills contrary to the people's wishes.
Someone else, Council Mayabi, it is time Parliament found its purpose. They truly have been the executive's spanner boys and girls, maybe, forgetting that they should be independent. That probably is why we have been experiencing numerous instances where the rule of law applies selectively.
Avant, you say succeed. A house keen to preserve itself outside the law, salary allowance increment, surpassing SRC, judiciary, auditor general, passing unconstitutional laws, no oversight, public finance and projects. What happened to sugar, the dam tragedy, or other reports? Too many to list.
Engineer Lazaro, 12th Parliament still operates under commands of different political parties. No common understandings or independent stand among members. That's why I doubt parliamentary system of government. On Facebook, what have they been saying? Of course, you can write to us via the Facebook page of Citizen TV.
Bogas, you say this Parliament is easily manipulated by the executive. They are not up to task as required. They are a total failure. The only unity they exercise is when they want to increase their salary. You continue to say that Kenyans are overburdened by the taxes. The cost of living is becoming unbearable. Unemployment is rampant. Kenyans are unable to afford health care to concerning various illnesses. Yet, they aren't concerned. Their pet subject is moving across the country, politicking. Others are fighting to inherit the presidency.
Of course, they are politicians. Patel Moaz, nothing like transparency for Kenyan political leaders. They are there for what they will get in return to pass or to drop motions. All right, so, wow, this is the last one for now. Francis Mwindi.
Francis, you say nowadays the legislature is part of the executive. They do what the president wants, not what the electorates rather want. It's a shame. Okay, so those are the views of Kenyans. And Deputy Speaker, I know that this week you'll be having that parliamentary forum for committees, and you work in committees. So we've seen several reports coming from different committees. Some of them have been controversial, including the Rural Land. We have also seen you do informal sittings where you agree on a few things in as far as your remuneration is concerned. Just make us understand. So a parliamentary committee is given an assignment, they investigate, they come up with the recommendations, then they can be overturned at the plenary. I mean, what logic do you use in arriving at all those things, even as you say that you work through committees?
First of all, let me say what I see the Kenyans posting is fairly normal. I mean, anybody would be very surprised if a parliament is praised. It's not normal anywhere in the world. Look at House of Commons, look at any other parliament. Because this is one of the only professions that you are elected on the first day and the following day you start getting bashed. It's normal. And the expectations, of course, of the Mwananchi is high, and rightly so, because they elect you. Now, again, I think that is the real reason why we are having this issue on Thursday, because we are trying now to do a self-evaluation, and we are also trying to show the Kenyans what we do. There are quite a number of things that parliamentarians do that are not very clear even to the electors themselves.
Right.
For example, you know, many times parliamentarians are accused of traveling all over. It's a fact that sometimes they travel. And some of the trips that they make are very, very useful. For example, when they traveled to Saudi Arabia to look at the plight of the Kenyan workers there. And when they came back as a committee of labor, they came and put very, very, very good recommendations, including removing quite a number of agencies that were recruiting Kenyans being taken there and get into trouble wherever they go. So there are quite a number of things that parliamentarians do that the public would not know. That's why on Thursday this week, we want to show them that it is not even what is only done in plenary that matters. There are quite a number of things that go on behind the curtains at the committee level.
Right.
I will give you an example. There was one parliamentarian in a certain parliament, I think it should have been the 9th one, I don't want really to mention the name, who did not talk a lot. I think probably she only spoke, I didn't want even to use the word she or he, but
you just
talked only once. But at the committee level, she did a marvelous job. Now, what we are trying to do is first to make broadcasting live at the committee level, so that the citizens can be able to see what is, I mean, how it is and what informs the reports that come to the plenary. So that's what we'll be having on Thursday. As I've said, it's not easy for members to be popular, but they work. They work a great deal. If you are told the kind of man-hours they put into some work, you'll be surprised.
As well as standing orders being done in Kiswahili, that's a big step. But my point is, Chair, that at the end of the day, Deputy Speaker, I mean, so individuals will then make a trip, come back, give recommendations. If genuinely benchmarking was happening, wouldn't Kenya not be in a different place as to where we are right now?
Well, I'm not here actually even to justify the reason why there should be a trip or not. But I was just giving an example of one trip which, if you asked anybody, they would say, why would somebody go to Saudi Arabia? That's a religious trip. This was not a religious trip. It was an issue that was related to labor.
I don't think Kenyans have a problem with the traveling. It's you come back, yes, you've benchmarked, you've done recommendations. Implementation is always the challenge, whether you're benchmarking in Saudi Arabia, in Europe, or in America.
That particular has already been implemented.
If individuals were coming back and they were giving recommendations, why are we not seeing all this benchmarking in different sectors not being upheld after your travels?
Let me even give you the example of the Labour Committee. The recommendation that they made led to the establishment of a memorandum of understanding on labour issues between Kenya and Saudi Arabia. And this year alone, we have sent 10,000 Kenyans to Saudi Arabia. Before, there was no legal framework, there was no MOU. The same they have done to Dubai, which I hope the committee is going to table. So, and that's why in Parliament, the public doesn't know that we have a committee called the Committee of Implementation. Every decision that is made, every resolution that is made by the House, by any committee, or through a motion, that committee's business is to make sure within 60 days, the government agency must implement.
Have you seen that they failed as a committee?
They have not failed, and that's why I tell you, like, I'll give another example. When Parliament approved the name of Mwende Mwinzi, the Defense and Foreign Affairs Committee, that for her to take over her new station, subject to her denouncing her citizenship status to the US, that matter was taken over by the implementation committee after 60 days. And that's why Ambassador Monica was called and asked, have you given, can you give her the status? And they have done a report, they have tabled, and you know what they have recommended? They have recommended that the earlier decision of the Defense and Foreign Relations must be rescinded, that the House now must reject Mwende Mwinzi. But because again the House respects the jurisdiction of other arm of government, because the matter is before court, is sub judice. Now the House Business Committee cannot slot a debate for that matter. So what the Deputy Speaker is saying is that every resolution of the House, there is a specific committee, and this happened in the, I think, in the under the presidential system of government, in the 11th and in the 10th Parliament. There was not there in the previous Parliament.
Of course, we'll have more to talk about how the committees work, but I'm still stuck at the point that you say, yes, recommendations are made by a committee of Parliament, and then the implementation committee can go ahead and ensure it's implemented. But at the point that the decision is turned, I take the case of Ruraka Land, especially the report at the Senate, of course it's still the same Parliament, at the Senate, that a committee passes it, then it's rescinded at the plenary.
We're not the same Parliament.
No.
We were a bicameral Parliament.
Okay, it's
you
Parliament.
When you say the same Parliament, we don't sit in the same chamber.
Let me frame the question. So different houses of the same Parliament.
Yes.
And so there has been instances where decisions of committees have been rescinded for various reasons, and Kenyans feel it is for political reasons. So how do you explain that you can hold you accountable to be making the right decisions?
if we have to be fair, and if we did proper analysis and evaluation of Parliament, you'll realize that there are very few parliamentary committee reports that get rejected on the floor of the House. There are very few, and they stand out. And I will tell you there's a number of reasons why committees' reports could be rejected. I will tell you, like the sugar report that you keep on, or people keep on referring to. The main reason why that report was rejected is because it veered off the objective of what it was intended to. Because the intention was simple. You know, when you are given assignment as a House, especially where a committee has been instructed through, and she's the one who raised that issue. The TOR was very clear. Go and get us a report whether this country has bad sugar and who brought it. If your report fails to answer those questions, then you cannot pass it. But let me just answer you. You know, a lot of good things that Parliament does are not reported on properly. For example, and I've been around for a while, I will tell you that if you looked at the auditor's reports in the 10th Parliament, the audit queries, the amounts of monies that were being queried in ministries, state agencies, if you look at the kind of workload that was with the Public Investment Committee, you will see that right now the audit queries have been minimized because of the reports of the Public Accounts Committee and the reports of the Public Investment Committees. The parastatals were just, there was a lot of fraud in the parastatals. It has been reduced because of the Parliament. If you look at the issue of Kenya Airways, the process that was going on has been stopped courtesy of Parliament. That one is not being highlighted. What is being highlighted is where Parliament, probably for whatever reasons, has challenges. And I want to tell you that what is being said by Kenyans about Parliament today is exactly what was said in the 10th Parliament. This is the worst Parliament. It will always be the worst. The 10th Parliament was the worst. I was there. 11th was the worst. So this one is the worst. And 13th will be the worst until I think Jesus comes back. All parliaments will be the worst. But Kenyans have a right to hold us to account. I want to just congratulate the chair of the Liaison Committee for coming out with a program that is going to help Kenyans appreciate the work of committees. You hear people talk, and please just allow me 1 or 2 minutes. You hear people say that we only sit there on Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday, and Thursday afternoon, and that we are paid so much just for sitting there, not knowing that what we do there is just an aspect of our responsibility. In fact, right now, with the presidential system, what we do in Parliament is purely legislation. The work of oversight is done in committees. The work of representation is done outside the plenary. And even the work of budget making, in fact, we only come and endorse it. So just one aspect of our work, 1 out of 4, is done in the plenary, and you want to use that to judge the performance of Parliament. In fact, even legislation, half or even more than half of the work of legislation is done in committees. That is where public hearing is done. I
have covered a few committee sessions, and I'll be honest to tell you that, especially if you attend some of the sessions at PSC and PIC, you realize that the people that are asking questions are just a few of them. There are some who will just attend, sign somewhere, and then they walk out. So how do you balance all these issues? Because yes, there's the place of being in attendance, but there's also the place of competence and making contributions before a committee.
Yes, my quick answer to that is this. We have also talked about members not engaging properly in committees. He is on record for talking about it. I am on record for talking about it. We have sat in House Business Committee. We are looking for ways of trying to enforce people to say it. But in terms of asking questions, if a few members, say we have been put in the Budget Committee, and by the way, I hope we'll get to that, how we put members in committees, but you have been put in a committee mostly where you express an interest. Now, once you are put there, and just Lesuda, maybe Duale asking questions and not Mbadi, whose mistake is it? It's the people of Suba South who elected a person who cannot ask questions in the committee.
But it might also be the mistake of you when you constitute those panels, those committees, but I don't want you to respond to that. I just want to hear from you in as far as the contributions that committees has to go, and how well do you think, what do we need to know as a country so that we appreciate the workings of Parliament, not just saying that so-and-so has never spoken this session?
Thank you. And as much as we bash Parliament, as much as we would like, it is also only fair that we also give credit where it's due, and we have to thank the chair of the Liaison Committee. I think we are having the most active liaison, where it brings all chairs together and we meet religiously every Wednesday to discuss issues of how we better our work at committee level and what we're giving out as a service. And that is why, as Parliament, the same way he has said, if it's about members, we have our leaders and they've talked about it. Business committee, they are looking at how to ensure that that is dealt with. But also, we're opening up committees to be broadcasted live, where we are opening ourselves to scrutiny. The same way, even Parliament, we opened it to scrutiny, where Mzalendo always now knows who spoke, who went to Bunge. It's because we opened up ourselves. Now we're even opening ourselves to committees, and that's what you see, for example, in Congress, in committees is where things actually happen.
Right.
And it will also show Kenyans what informs what goes to the plenary. You know, and it can actually also deal with issues of any tampering in between, because you will have seen actually that the committee, the process, because a report just doesn't come to the House just like that. There is a lot that goes in. You know, we have questions, petitions, we have all those things that now happen. Business, we have CSs coming now to committees where members also asking questions, petitions go to committees. We are opening ourselves as a parliament to scrutiny by the public, and they will see. But also the whole issue about even asking questions. There is even more that also goes, apart from asking questions. It's not a must that all of us ask a question. If you had a question and it's been answered, which is okay, and that's why we are seeing that Kenyans are putting too much, you know, expectations are so much on us as members of parliament, and I think we're up to the task, and that's why we're doing what we're doing on Thursday.
Deputy Speaker, I'll begin with you after the break, but also just to make a point here that you'll realize that the same people who ask questions are more likely to ask the questions in several sessions. So we'll also talk about the composition, the considerations in terms of competence, as well as the party ratio in parliament. Back in a moment.